Hey everybody, we're going to go over the real estate stats in Colorado Springs so far. We're at May 4th. What's going on? Is it getting crazy? Is it getting worse? Are homes selling at all? Let's see, take a look. So we're only a few days into April right now, and we've only got 908 active listings for sale. That's it. It's not a whole lot. We have 1,080 under contract properties as of now. And here you can see a whole chart of the active listings we've had by month. But I want you to pay attention to last month, March. There was a total of 1,443 total listings for March in all of Colorado Springs. Now, let's look at this as a chart. That March, the amount of listings that we had was comparable to what we were having in early 2020. And other than that, I mean, you can see the rest of the chart. We have had historically a lot more inventory, a lot more homes, properties for sale than we currently have. We had a little boom, as you can see in 2022 last year. It was a little boom, a little spike in inventory. And that was, about what we had in 2016, 2017, as far as in home inventory. And now we're back down to pretty low inventory right now. What do I attribute that to? I attribute that to everybody who's got a home. Most of them have a low interest rate. Really hard to want to sell your property when there's that great low interest rate. That's an incentive to stay. Here you'll see the total number of sales that we had in Colorado Springs. So for March, we had 794 sales. Not a lot. February 601, January 538. And if you compare these past 3 months of sales to those same months in the past several years, you can see we're tracking, what is that, 20, 30% less in total number of sales versus the past few years. But let's look at that in chart form because it's always fascinating. The highs are summertime, as you can see here, and the lows are the wintertime. So every January, you got the spike down, and then in about June, July is when you got those spikes up. So the number of sales, we're fairly consistent, had a little bit more in the past few years, and then we have started to come down quite a bit into 2023 as far as total number of sales. It is coming up a bit, and we'll see where it heads from there. Now, this is the average and median sales prices, again, in Colorado Springs. And if we look at March, the average sales price was $485,280. The median sales price was $430,252. You can see there is an average and median sales price on this list computed for April, but I don't give much weight to the numbers when we're this early in the month. There's just not enough data to be able to give an accurate number. So I don't generally look at those until at least halfway into the month, but I'd like to be at least, 2/3 of the way into the month before looking at those numbers for any sort of accuracy. But the average and median sales prices are overall going back up in Colorado Springs. We had our low point in that December, January timeframe, as you can see from the average and median sales prices here. And we'll switch over to the chart again so you can get a visual. We came down a bit throughout late 2022, and then starting in the February timeframe, we've started to trend back up in our average and median sales prices. Now we're looking at the list price to close price ratio, as well as the number of active listings per month. So the list to close price ratio is how much a property was listed for versus how much it actually sold for. So in March, the list to close price ratio was 98.6%. In February, it was 97.2%. In January, it was 96.2%. So you'll see in that November to January timeframe is where it was down to 96%. Back in May of 2022, it was 102.7%. So homes on average were getting 2.7% over their asking price. Wild stuff. So now they're getting a little bit under, but that number is starting to come back up from 96% to now 98.6%. And we had 1,448 total active listings for the month of March. So newly created for all of March. That's what we had. And for April so far, we have 1,324 active listings. Actually, I think that's just the active listings total. That's not just new stuff specifically for the month. So 1,324 active listings for all of April so far. And the close price to original price, or the list price to close price ratio for April here says it's 100%. Too early to tell. We're only 4 days into the month, so I'm not going to count that. Now here we get into the average and median days to sell. So the time that a house goes and lists live on market to the time that it accepts an offer and goes under contract. How long is that taking? So in March, the average days to sell was 47, and the median days to sell was 20. Now, that number does fluctuate, but back in May of last year, it was 12 average days to sell, and that number has been steadily rising since then, up to a high of 52 in January and 56 in February, down to 47 in March, and now so far in April down to 31. But again, we're too soon in April for that to matter. Median days, it was 4 in May of last year, and that number also slowly went up to a high of 37 in January and February. It was a median days to sell. And in March, it went down to 20. So I'm seeing a trend, I think, very early, but I'm seeing the trend that homes are starting to sell quicker and they're starting to sell for a little bit more. This is another way to look at the number of sales that we have had in the city. You'll see on the right-hand side here the number of sales, 796 for March. So far for April, we've had 36 sales. 601 sales for February, 538 for January. In May of last year, we had 1,353, and that was the high point, and sales started to slowly go down from there. Months of inventory, we had 1 month of inventory in May. Stuff was just selling like hotcakes, at least compared to now. Now we had our high point in November at 3.2 months of inventory. January we had 3 months. December we had 2.9. February 2.4. March 1.8. So again, the inventory is starting to lessen and sales are starting to pick up, and so are sales prices. Look at all this. These are all the properties that are available for sale in Colorado Springs. Wow, all these little green pings here. There are 891 current sales, or current properties for sale, just in that little space. A whole bunch. I mean, now you can't visit all 900 of them, so there's a whole bunch in that sense, but um, this is definitely not 12,000. We're 12,000 homes short in Colorado Springs and 14,000 homes short in El Paso County. So even if all these homes were bought up, there would still be that much need. And this is everything that is pending and under contract. So I had to zoom in so that you can see each one individually. If I pull the map back, then it'll just show big numbers instead of the individual listings. So yeah, just look at all that. This is all activity that's happening. This is all people that are freshly under contract that, oh, I can, nope, yeah, see, you can just see numbers now. Look at that. So, almost 1,100 properties that are under contract where like the buyer and seller just recently did this within the past few weeks. So there's definitely still activity. There's still home sales happening. It's more expensive. So the people with more money are the people who can get to the real estate game at this point. And as far as my personal work, I am myself keeping busy in real estate. So I've got a property under contract. I've got an active listing. I've got a couple people who are close to putting in offers to purchase homes. I've got a couple more people who are getting close to listing their homes. So there's definitely activity happening, just even within my own personal sphere. But outside of that, definitely, you can see it on the map. I see it in my office. There are sales happening, definitely still. It's just not as crazy as it was. So when you compare the two, it seems like it's gone down a bit. But I assure you, people are still buying and selling property here. I think the main question that my clients have, or one of them, because they have a lot actually, there's a lot to process in this market. This market is very um, wavy, in the sense of it fluctuates. It just, there's all these different things that happen, so there's an economic, global, geopolitical thing to be aware of on top of the economy, on top of local housing markets and what they're doing. So here in Colorado Springs, home prices do seem to be on the rise again, and the buyer demand does seem to be coming back again. And so, even though prices are high, or definitely higher than they were in the past few years, that doesn't seem to stop people, and they're going to keep pushing the prices even higher, surprisingly. And you've got mortgage interest rates, which have been dancing around in the sixes and sevens for a little while, and they react a little bit to the Fed, they react a little bit to the bank bailouts, and they react to whatever current event might be happening that would affect the rates. And I definitely can't predict whether the rates are going to shoot up or come back down. I thought for sure they were going to go up to the eights and nines. I was thinking that last year. I thought for sure they were going to go up that far. And they haven't, but neither have they gone back down to 4 or below that again. And I don't anticipate that they will. I don't think they're going back down to that point. I think the Fed still needs to, or wants to, increase basis points. They're still feeling like they need to take control of the economy, and that they're not doing enough to combat inflation. So I foresee adding basis points continually, and I see that negatively affecting mortgage interest rates in the sense of pushing them up. So unless some other strange thing happens, that might change the course of what interest rates do. But then on the flip side, you've got people saying, "Hey, we're seeing signs of a recession," and yeah, okay, maybe that people have been saying that for how many years now, and then we got a mild one, and now we're kind of in one. We're in a slump recession, right? A slow session. That's what they say. We'll see. I don't know that we're in quite the negative recession that people want to say that we're in. I think we're kind of just stuck. And as economically, we're not really going anywhere. We're not going backwards. We're not declining, but we're not improving. That's what I think, but I could be wrong. I don't let that. That's not going to affect your personal real estate plans, is it? Because people need to buy and sell, and they buy and sell property really dependent on their own personal lives, what's going on in their lives, not necessarily what's going on globally. What you are interested in doing is the most important thing, obviously. That, and, can you make it work with the interest rates being what they are, that makes the monthly payment what it is, and that's all it is. So if you found this helpful, please click the like button and consider subscribing. I am a real estate agent here in the state of Colorado. If you are needing help buying or selling property in the Colorado Springs area, please contact me and I would love to help you with that. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.